The broadcast is now starting. All attendees are in listen-only mode.
Well, good morning, everybody, or whatever time it is, wherever you're tuning in. Welcome to the Lunch and Learn series, which is just an introduction to let you know a little bit about what the series entails. Could I ask, if you look on the right-hand side, if you're unfamiliar with this technology, you'll notice on the right-hand side there's a question box. If you just type in the word clear there, that lets me know that I'm coming across loud and clear, which is always useful. Otherwise, I may feel as if I'm talking, well, I'll be talking to myself for the full half hour. So could you just type in the word clear? That lets me know that I'm coming across loud and clear. Thanks, Philip. Thanks, Mark. Thanks, Jenny. Thanks, John. Thanks, Marcia. Okay, obviously I am coming across loud and clear, which is good. So welcome, and if you've got any questions that you want to ask me about the Lunch and Learn series, then the idea is just where that question box is, you just type in your question at any time. Don't wait for the end of the presentation, because I don't want to leave 5 minutes at the end where there's an awkward pause while people are thinking about what question to ask. So just type your question in, or your observation or your comment, and I'll respond to it. I'm the only one that actually sees the question, and then of course I can respond to that question, and obviously everybody hears the response to that. You'll receive a copy of the slides, and you'll receive a copy of the audio as well. So I upload these to YouTube and SlideShare. I send you a link. It won't be today, but it will be tomorrow, and you'll get a link which you can go back in. So just relax and absorb the key messages that I'm trying to get across during this next short, sharp 30 minutes. All right, so what are we going to cover? Well, there's a number of things that I do want to talk about, and one of those things is just what's the program entail. Now, there's a number of different versions of Lunch and Learn. So the one that I'm going to share with you is the next one that's coming up, which is the Team Leader version. I'll share with you what the package is about so that you've got some idea of what you're getting for your money, what some of the benefits are to you if you are curious enough to want to be involved as a participant, or if you're involved as a manager and you're thinking of perhaps putting a number of people through the program. There's some benefits, of course, for the organisation as well. A couple of endorsements from people that have gone through the process previously, and finally some of my credentials in relation to running this Lunch and Learn series. It just strikes me that people are time poor more and more these days, and obviously leaving your office or, commuting somewhere, spending a day listening to a presenter, maybe only 10% of it's applicable, the rest isn't, is kind of a huge investment in time, not to mention money. So I kind of thought, well, there might be a better way of doing this. And of course, this is becoming very much the norm, and I doubt it will change in the near future. So if you have a look at the program that I'm, what the Lunch and Learn program is all about, well, essentially it's, in my case at least, 6 one-hour sessions once a fortnight. So we've got 6 hours together. Obviously, this is just a promotion for it, but 6 hours, and we focus on a number of leadership key attributes and points. So you can see on your screen there are a number of things that we'll look at. Personal influence, we look at giving effective feedback, building the team up, which is obviously a perennial challenge for anyone running teams, maximising performance, which is obviously a critical aspect of leadership, understanding people and their personalities and how best to deal with them and what to do and what not to do in order to get the best results, running effective meetings. Our whole life is pretty much a meeting, isn't it? This is a meeting. When you finish here, you're going to another meeting, no doubt, and it never ends. So all of these skills are critically important to be a good leader. And so we touch on many of those points and many, many others. So the program is very much a substitute for perhaps going to a workshop, sitting in front of a sitting in a workshop, listening to someone. You can do this over a sandwich, hence the concept lunch and learn. You can do this at your desk top. All you need is some headphones so you don't disturb anybody else, and away you go. So, and it's catching on really well. And we've got people from all over, as you'll see later, all sorts of industries who are involved. We've got private sector, we've got public sector and not-for-profit, all involved in this kind of approach, because I think leadership is pretty generic in relation to a whole range of other, it doesn't matter whether it's a business that you're involved in or the public sector. Leadership is leadership, and wherever there are people, we require positive leadership. Now, the program that I've got coming up in the 2 weeks' time, and I'm promoting that, I'll promote that because that's the next program. I've got programs running back to back, but you'll notice that the titles on the screen are very much related to teams. So it's very much around, high-performing teams and how to actually create a good team, which is obviously a bit of an art form as well as anything else. The roles that people play in teams, how they manage conflict, how they negotiate, how you might intervene in those to make that even more effective, and developing team culture is another critically important aspect of teams. So we look at a number of those sorts of topics, and you can see I've got a promotion going here today, but the next series starts on the 27th of July, which is not next Friday, but the following Friday, and you can see what the units entail in that program. So you've got 6 units there, which fits that model of 1 hour and, once a fortnight, starting, of course, on the 27th. Now, because you've taken the time to tune in today for this short, sharp session, I'm willing to offer you a 10% discount if you get back to me today via email. So if you just send me an email and say, yep, interested, I'd like to enroll, I can give you all the details. It's not difficult. We can either invoice you, or you can actually go onto my website and pay for that way. The cost is $295, which I think is very reasonable. And of course, in your case, you'll get a 10% discount on top of that for yourself or perhaps anyone else that you might like to put through the process. So that's the program coming up on the 27th, and I think you'll enjoy it. We've had some great feedback, and the information I'm sharing with you is very much cutting edge. I've put, many years into this. I know what works. I've authored 8 books. I've got a fair idea of what's important and what's practical and what will help you in that regard. The other important dimension of the Lunch and Learn program, which is, I think, very important to the success of this, is that I do actually give you homework. Now, the homework is not some sort of theoretical exercise, an essay or something. Homework is actually for you to go out of the Lunch and Learn series, that unit, and whatever the topic is that we're covering, I'm getting you to practice that. So, for example, you can see on your screen there, it might be to make a commitment to give feedback, make a commitment to give feedback 3 times a day for the next week. So just going around the office, letting people know, both positive and perhaps not so positive, but at least constructive, what they're doing right or what they could be doing. And the whole idea of that, of course, is to change habits, because the whole success of this leadership development program is actually changing behaviours. So what I do in the hour, I think, is very informative, it's very interesting, it's very engaging, if I may say so myself. But at the end of the day, if you don't do anything different as a result of what you've learned, then what's going to happen is that it's not really been worthwhile in terms of changing your behaviour or the way you look at the world. So that's why we give you homework. So at the end of each module, there is a set of homework to do. So if you're a manager in an organisation, you want to send through, a bunch of managers through this process, well, obviously they'll all be given the same homework, and they can certainly talk about that with each other, and that in itself is a whole nother layer of learning, which can be very, very effective. So that's one of the features of the program, is that you're given practical things to change or do as a result of what you've learned in the Lunch and Learn, which we think is extremely important. So let's just be clear about what the package entails, so you know there's no misunderstanding. And of course, if you want me to send you a flyer, a brochure, an electronic brochure at the end of this, and you'd like to have a bit more of a look at some of the content and whether it fits you or maybe some of the people that you lead, please do so. I'm happy to send that to you. It's got the dates on it. It's got the content on it. It's got some testimonials on it. It's got the package on it. But on that brochure, one of the key things is you need to know, of course, what you're getting for your $295 minus, of course, the 10% discount. So you get 6 one-hour units, and that's on the latest thinking on leadership. So once a fortnight we meet around lunchtime, although it's a little bit early today here in Brisbane, but there it is. And then for an hour, I run through a module, which is the units that I covered before. And so that's the first thing that you get. You can ask me questions just like I was in a workshop. All you do is type them in. We obviously can't unmute everybody because there'd be too many distractions, but we can certainly make it interactive, and we do that. You will then, at the end of every single unit, receive 6 YouTube video recordings. So there is always the time, and it's the same with the workshop, isn't it, where you attend in person, where you just can't attend for whatever reason. You know, you've been called away or whatever. No problem. You'll get a full recording of the session. So that's great if you can't make it. And of course, if you can make it, it's great because it helps you to just revise the messages that came out, which is something that's quite powerful with the Lunch and Learn series, because you don't normally get a video when you attend a workshop in person. And you'll also get 6 sets of PowerPoint slides for each presentation. So what you're seeing in front of you, these slides, they will be made available to you as well. So some people I know just like to flip through the slides and absorb the key messages. So you get both of those, and of course you can keep them for as long as you like. Of course, they're yours. You get a personality profile, at least one. And in some of the programs that I run, you get 2, and one of those is electronic. So that's good value for money, because these profiles can cost a significant amount of money, as we probably all know, when you purchase them off the shelf. So they're actually included in the $295. And the other thing that's important about this is that I see myself as your coach. So in between sessions, you can converse with me, preferably by email, and you can tell me your war stories, tell me what happened, tell me your success stories. What questions do you want to ask me? What clarification do you need that you may not have felt comfortable about asking in the broadcasts themselves? So you've got your own coach as well. And again, those sorts of private coaching sessions can be quite expensive. So you have all of that wrapped up for the price of $295, which I think is great value. And of course, today you've got a 10% discount on top of that. So that's the package. That's what you get for the package, and I think that's very good value, if I may say so myself. Now, there are a number of benefits that you'll get, and this will come up on your screen. There it is. Whoop, it's gone. There it is now. You've got a couple of benefits, and if you're a manager in an organisation thinking of sending some of your people, then there's organisational benefits, of course, and some of those benefits include, creating some organisational leverage. So if you've got a bunch of managers, 6 to 12 managers, all learning the same thing, all applying the same kind of approach in their own workplace for that price, then you've got pretty good value. They don't have to leave to go off to a webinar, to a workshop somewhere. They don't have to stay in a fancy motel. You don't have to feed them. They can feed themselves just sitting in front of the screen. So you've saved yourself a lot of costs, and it's still got enormous organisational leverage. It's cost effective, as I mentioned, because it's it's done at people's desks, and it's completed over lunch. So it's done in, downtime, if you like. So we're not, the purpose of running this pretty much in the middle of the day is just to break up the day for your leaders and for yourself. And so if you think about the cost of going to a workshop, it's not the day that's cost you, apart from the fee that it may cost you, but it's the opportunity costs that are lost as well, because obviously while you're sitting in a workshop, you can't be, or you shouldn't be doing anything else. So it makes things very difficult and costly. So in that sense, it's good value for money. And in terms of you as a leader, you develop your career skills, of course. It's a way of building skills up. It's just like any other program. You can certainly put that on the CV and say you've completed the Lunch and Learn series, and you can even put down what the units were. It minimises your disruption during the day, and lunchtime's a good time to reflect. And first of all, it forces you to have a lunch break, but at the same time you're learning, and that's important. And you don't have to sit there and take copious notes or whatever, because obviously you get a copy of the slides and you get a copy of the recording as well. So the other benefit for you is that I give you very practical tips and tools that you can implement immediately. So the good news is the moment you finish one of the units with me, and assuming, of course, it's lunchtime wherever you're tuning in, you've got the rest of the afternoon to practice whatever it is that I give you or set you as homework. So in other words, you can start practicing immediately, and that's always a benefit. And then, of course, what happens in the next session is I follow up and I ask people to give me a bit of feedback. What worked? What didn't work? What did you find easy? What did you find difficult? And all of those kinds of things, which become really, really important. So there's a lot of benefits for you as if you're a participant, but there's also benefits for the people that you bring along with you to the workshop, to the broadcast. So guys, are there any questions that anyone would like to ask at this stage? You can type in your questions and I will respond. I've just got a question here from Jackie, who is asking whether or not the 10% is inclusive of others attending as well. Yes, it would be. So Jackie, if you, for example, sent, 5 people along, it'd be 10% off the top of the total bill for that, because you've taken the time to join me today. So hopefully that's made it clear. And that's a deal that won't be available forever and a day. It's only available today, but thanks for asking. And you will find that it's a nice balance of rigour and practice. So you'll find that the information is very much practically based, and it's about you doing something different. Here's a couple of endorsements, and I didn't hunt these out, actually. These were endorsements that were sent to me at the conclusion of the sessions, just to give you a flavour of the organisations that I'm working with. And you'll notice that one's a private sector, Amart Sports, which we'd all be familiar with, and we'd all be familiar with the Queensland Fire and Emergency Services as well. So obviously 2 completely different organisations, one in the public sector, one in the private sector. And Byron was very kind enough to say, and remember, I didn't prompt any of this, fantastic session, Tim. I liked how clear and concise your points were and how you facilitated in context, but also offered suggested questions to ask in each situation for myself. It's half the battle to think of these little things. So that's what I mean about the practicality of it. And Tony from QFIS says, by any measure, you're a very effective speaker and educator. I found your webinars especially intriguing. Thanks for the great learning you've been delivering through the online program. I've taken away with me some great tips on how these can be used in my work to motivate and get the best out of my crews. So that gives you a little bit of an idea or a sense of what people are saying about the program. And I've got a few others as well. I just didn't want to bombard you with a whole array of those, but just give you a sense that it is effective. It is hitting the mark. And I've just got a question here from John, who's asking at what level are these programs pitched at? Yeah, it's a good question. The programs are generally pitched at that middle management category, but I do have an executive program, which is obviously for top management. And I think anybody in any leadership role would benefit in some way, shape, or form from the process. So I think it's got application if you're in any sort of leadership role, whether you're leading one person or maybe 25 people or more. So it can be helpful because the principles of leadership, of course, are pretty much the same, regardless of how many people you might be leading as such. So thanks, John, for the question. So that gives you an idea of what people are getting out of the process, and they were gladly happy to give me permission to promote their comments as well through this process. A little bit about me, although I often don't like blowing my own trumpet, but I guess I've probably got to do that, don't I? Because otherwise you're probably thinking to yourself, well, who's this guy and is he worth listening to and all the rest of it? Just before I get to that, I've just got a comment here from Ewan. Tim, will you invoice each participant after we email you? Yes, that'd be the idea, Ewan. And what I do is I simply send you 6 links, and those 6 links are the 6 webinars. And all you do, it's such a simple process, you just click on those links, put your name in and your email address, and what happens is it automates itself, just as you got automated responses, for this reminders that this was coming up today. So you get all of those automated responses, and of course, you're all ready to go. You can actually put the information into your calendar, so whether it's Google or Microsoft, so you can do that. So it's a very simple process. So if you're interested in me invoicing you rather than going online, you can do that. But if any of you want to pay by credit card, of course, you can go straight onto my website, and I can send you a link to that as well, and you can just register online. So it's up to you, of course. We're fairly flexible. Okay, so thanks for the question. So a little bit about me and what I've done in this space. I'm just going to get rid of that. Okay. Yeah, so I've got an international reputation in this whole space of leadership and management, and I've just come back this morning. I might sound a bit flat, but I've come back this morning from Vietnam doing some workshops over there on leadership, and so yes, I cross a number of different cultural boundaries in the realm of leadership. In 2013, I was voted as one of the 50 most talented global training and development leaders by the World HRD Congress, which was a nice compliment. So I'm certainly known for my work in lots of places. And I calculated the other day that I have conducted over 2,430 seminars, workshops, and keynote addresses to 45,000 people in 11 countries across 21 industry groups. So it gives you a fair idea that I've been around a bit, and I've experienced a fair bit in this whole space of leadership. And also, prior to me becoming a consultant, I held numerous senior leadership and management positions. So in other words, I understand it from a practical point of view, not just from a theoretical perspective. So a bit of background about me, but if people want to know more, then I'm more than happy to respond as well if you would like to know more about what I've done. So I think I'm reasonably well qualified to run this, and and I look forward to working with you if that's the case. So I might probably come to, unless there's any other questions, by all means, now's your chance, because we're coming up to that half an hour and I don't want to hold you up for too long. But just want to reiterate to you that I've got my next series starting on the 27th of July, and this is the Developing High Performance Team series. And you'll notice there are 6 modules I went through earlier on in the presentation. So the first module, or the first unit we cover, is characteristics of high-performing teams, and that will be covered on the 27th of July, and then we move on to the next one and so forth. We've just got a question here from Marsha asking, can people enrol in one unit? No, I discourage that, Marsha, because what I'm trying to do is get everyone to take a comprehensive view of the topic that we're looking at, because I kind of don't think there's huge value in just doing a one-off. If you're really interested in improving your leadership capabilities, the fee covers the 6 units, and I think it's important that you be involved in all of them. So the fee is a comprehensive fee that's paid up front, but you get those 6 modules. But as I said before, if you can't attend one, not to worry. You can simply watch the recording on YouTube. And as I've mentioned to you before, you've got that 10% discount that applies. So if you send me an email at the end of this saying, yes, I'd like to be involved, or yes, I've got X number of managers, then and I'd prefer that you invoice me, or I'm happy to go online. Just steer me in the right direction. I'll do that for you. Or if you just want more information, if you just want a brochure that covers these 6 topics, more than happy to talk about that and send that to you. So, folks, that's pretty much it. I'm hoping that I might have persuaded you to get involved for a very reasonable price, and I'm hoping that I can get you involved, and that for a 10% discount that you can get yourself engaged in the next lot of programs. So, unless there's any other questions, I think we might close it out there. I just wanted to say thank you. Look forward to working with you if that's the case. And if you've got any other questions, let me know, because you'll receive an email from me tomorrow, and the email from me will be with the slides and the recording of today's presentation, so you can get the idea at least as to how the process works. So thanks, guys. That's pretty much it for me, unless you've got any other questions. Thanks, David. Nice. Thank you. Look forward to perhaps seeing you in the Lunch and Learn series. So thanks, guys, and all the very best. Have a fantastic weekend. Thank you and goodbye.